So, over the past couple of days, I've sort of taken a break on talking about what's been happening politically with Donald Trump, his corruption, and his criminal behavior, along with that of his administration. Let's get caught up, shall we? Hey, everybody, welcome back to Tabitha Speaks Politics. I am your host, Tabitha, and we talk about all things politics over here by way of viral news stories. So, if you've come across this video and are not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. I would be happy to have you. If you're not following me out there on social media, please make sure that you're following me on social media. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Blue Sky. You can find me on Threads, and you can find me on Skylight. I am trying to reach 500,000 subscribers across all of my social media pages. That includes right here at the home base, which is YouTube. Now, I've got my notes here. So, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's first talk about the big, beautiful bill. Now, if you've been tuned in, you know that the big, beautiful bill passed the House narrowly. I believe by 1 or 2 votes. And that is probably because we have about five open Democratic seats, because some of our Democratic representatives have gone home to glory. They have passed away, and some of those seats are still open. Rest in peace to Sheila Jackson Lee was one of them. The other one, which is most recent, is Jerry Connolly, and there were others. I just can't remember them off of the top of my head. But yeah, I believe the vote was 214 or 213 to 215. The Republicans passed the bill. It is now going on to the Senate. And it's not looking too good once the big, beautiful bill gets into the Senate, because there are some Republicans. There's also a very narrow margin where the Republicans have the majority, and there are some Republicans that are just not happy with this bill. I believe Josh Hawley is one of them. There are several others, right? And the reason is because the big, beautiful bill will increase our national debt by $4 trillion over the next 10 years. Senator Rand Paul is one of them that is not completely on board with the big, beautiful bill. Ron Johnson is another one. He's not fully on board with the big, beautiful bill. They feel that financially it is reckless, and they are not happy with the deep spending cuts that the bill wants to take place. And those spending cuts are for Medicare and Medicaid. So there are some moderate Republicans who are also worried about the deep spending cuts to SNAP benefits, which could leave millions without support. I believe it's 13 million Americans who would lose health care because of these spending cuts. They are also not happy with the gutting of energy tax credits. There are just some fiscally irresponsible things that are going to take place if this bill passes. Now, let's be clear. None of these Republicans are not against the tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires. They're not against that. But because they know we are headed into an election year in 2026, which is the midterms, these tax cuts that are going to take place that will hurt the everyday American, they aren't feeling it. They are not feeling it. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens if the Senate will deny this tax bill altogether and table it, or if they will propose certain changes and send the bill back to the House. Republicans are not happy with this meme coin dinner that Donald Trump had at Mar-a-Lago the other day. A meme coin dinner that he tried to pass off as part of his presidential duties. It is totally corrupt. It is totally to benefit him, his family, and their pockets. But Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, that just seems to rub a lot of us the wrong way. It's because of the way that she condescendingly lies to our faces. She knows that we know she's lying to our faces, and yet she does it anyway, and she takes joy in it. That's why she always has that smirk on her face. She takes joy in knowing that she irks us by lying directly to our faces. Anyway, she said from her little podium over at the press conference room that this was a personal event of Donald Trump. So she basically shot Donald Trump in the foot. In case investigations are done and he's held responsible. Anyway, so he had this meme coin dinner for his cryptocurrency coin, or whatever they call it, $ Trump. He had a dinner, and at this dinner, I've been hearing anywhere from $50,000 to get into the room, but to have access to the president, you had to have donated or paid $1 million or more. So all of these people that attended this meme coin dinner, they're not all on the up and up. There were some criminals in the building, but Donald Trump doesn't care about that. As long as the money is going directly to his pocket, he's all for it. He's all for it. And there was one of those individuals that arrived to the meeting. He didn't want to be recognized at all. So he had a mask, and it wasn't just a mask to cover his face. The mask covered his entire head. Here's a picture of that individual. And then you had some influencers that paid to be in the room, and Donald Trump completely ignored them, and they weren't happy with that. Occupy Democrats put a post out there on Instagram, is where I saw it, and it's breaking news. Trump screwed people over yet again. Trump hosted this black tie gala, which is the meme coin dinner, out at his golf course. I thought it was at Mar-a-Lago. It happened over at Bedminster. And it was to host his biggest buyers of his crypto coin. And Nicholas Pinto, who is pictured right here in this post, was one of the buyers. He was left underwhelmed and still hungry. Here's a picture of the plate. They've been dragging this plate since it happened the other night. Yeah, he says he was left still hungry, even though this is what they served, and he was underwhelmed because he says the food sucked. They weren't given any drinks other than water or Trump's wine. Y'all know Trump has his own Trump branded wine. He said he doesn't drink, so he was left to drinking water, not even tea. So he was left to drink water, and he got no refills on the water. He goes on to talk about how Donald Trump didn't acknowledge them in any kind of way. I guess his donation was more on the low end at $50,000. Donald Trump was only interested in the people who gave more than $1 million. He gave a short speech. There were a total of 220 guests. Now, it has been asked by the media, mainstream news media, if they would get a list of who the attendees were. And that's where Caroline Levitt came back and said, she doesn't have much, she doesn't know much about this meeting or this dinner, because it was his own personal dinner. I believe Donald Trump came back with an update, a tweet or truth or whatever, trying to clean it up. But yeah, Caroline Levitt had already put the cat out of the bag, because she made that statement from the official White House podium. This was a private event of Donald Trump. But Donald Trump gave a short speech. He gave some attention to those who donated $1 million or more. Then he boarded his helicopter and he chucked deuces. And then after the dinner and Donald Trump chucked deuces, the meme coin plummeted in value. Let me see if that's on here. 16%. The meme coin plunged in value. I love this for all of them. Donald Trump has caved yet again on his tariff numbers. You see, this is why a lot of the overseas businesses are cutting out selling products to Americans altogether, because they don't know where they are going to land with these tariffs. 1 minute it's 145%, the next minute it's down to 30%. 1 minute he's going to tariff the EU 50%, and now he's given an extension to the EU. He's being dragged all over social media by the MAGA nuts, because he has now set another extension for the 50% tariffs that he levied against the EU. Just days after threatening to impose a 50% tariff on all European Union imports, and this was supposed to start June 1st, Donald Trump has announced a delay following a phone call with the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. The new deadline for potential tariff implementation is set for July 9th. So they now have a 30-day reprieve. And I'm sure after learning that he was going to impose these 50% tariffs, businesses out in the EU started making arrangements, making changes, trying to get things in order for this 50% tariff. And now he's announced an extension. Yeah. The extension provides a window for the U.S. and the EU to negotiate a trade agreement. Financial markets have responded positively to the news. European stocks have rallied and the euro strengthened against the dollar, reflecting investor relief over the de-escalation of trade tensions. However, the situation remains fluid. The EU has indicated readiness to engage constructively, but emphasizes that mutual respect should guide negotiations. Here's my questions. What are they negotiating? What is on the table specifically? No one on either side mentions what is on the table, what they are specifically negotiating when it comes to these trade deals, which leaves us to believe that what's being negotiated doesn't really benefit the United States. If you can't say this is what's on the table, instead of just saying we're negotiating a trade deal, what's in the deal? What's in the deal? Can anybody answer that for me? Please, somebody answer that for me. I believe it's whatever is going to benefit Donald Trump directly, not the United States. Y'all let me know your thoughts on that. The extension is through to July 9th, and then we'll see what happens. They're still talking about this $400 million plane. that the Qataris gifted to Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is still trying to tell us that this is a gift to the Department of Defense. And when he leaves office, then the plane will go on display at his presidential library. Many of us believe that once he leaves office, the $400 million plane and all of the upgrades that the United States taxpayers paid to have upgraded on this plane, it will go with him. And then once he goes on to meet his maker, because, yeah, I won't say glory, he might end up down in hell, the plane will get handed down to his family. That's what most of us believe. Yeah, it's not a plane that's gifted to the United States, although that's what Donald Trump's words say. But we know Donald Trump cannot be believed. He has more than proven on more than one occasion, as a matter of fact, every time his mouth is moving, that he is a liar. Even so much so, those who were out there, the MAGA nuts, Queen, Laura Loomer of the MAGA nuts, they are starting to cave. They were holding him accountable with accepting this $400 million plane. Remember, we talked about that. I'll put a link to the video down in the comment section. But since that time, the Daily Beast is reporting that Laura Loomer received a telephone call from Donald Trump because she was hammering him out there on social media. She received a telephone call from Donald Trump. They discussed the $400 million plane. And since that telephone discussion that Laura Loomer had with Donald Trump, she has come out to apologize and to say she now understands what the plan is, basically. And she spoke too soon. She should have had a conversation directly with Donald Trump before speaking negatively about him receiving this free $400 million plane. So when we say that this is a dictatorship, autocratic government, this is what we mean. And all of them will eventually fall in line. Laura Loomer has fallen in line. The last story that I want to bring to your attention is this battle between Donald Trump and Harvard University. Yeah, and the reason why I want to bring this story to your attention is because I'm going to provide you with some additional information that can benefit you personally. We all know how corrupt Donald Trump is, and we all know that Donald Trump started attacking Harvard because of that executive order that he put into place, wanting these colleges and universities to remove any and everything about DEI from their curriculum to their hiring practices, whatever it may be. And Harvard stood against that. Harvard said, nope, you won't dictate how we move over in our part of the United States over here. We have rights as a university. We have rights as people who run this university, and so do our students. And we will not be caving to Donald Trump and his dictatorship and his autocratic administration. We won't be doing it. As a matter of fact, we're going to try to build a coalition amongst other colleges and universities, and we will fight you on this. Okay? And then, in addition to that, Donald Trump has, as a result of that, Donald Trump has started to criticize Harvard and their policies, and they are upset. He is upset that Harvard has also started to criticize Donald Trump and his administration and their policies. He has pushed to put forth or bring forth or implement laws to tax elite colleges and universities. He's tried to withhold $2 billion of funding, federal funding, from Harvard University. And Harvard has assembled a dynamic legal team to fight Donald Trump on all of this. Donald Trump's latest attack was to cut Harvard's ability to bring in foreign students. And the foreign students that are currently enrolled at Harvard University, they were granted a small window to transfer out to other universities, or their immigration status here in the United States would be revoked, and they would be deported back to their home country. Harvard assembled more attorneys to fight against that, and I believe that a federal judge has blocked Donald Trump and his administration from implementing that foreign policy. So Harvard is not playing with Donald Trump, but there is a battle brewing between the Trump administration and Harvard is in it for the long haul. They are not shrinking. They are not bending the knee to Donald Trump. Shout out to Harvard University. Now, this is what I wanted to bring to your attention as of a result of this battle between Harvard and Donald Trump. Harvard has put out there that they are offering free government free classes to educate you on democracy, free classes to educate you on how the three branches of government works. They have brought forth classes to teach you about the Declaration of Independence, about the Constitution. Free classes. Yes, check the description box. I'm taking some of those classes. I'm taking one, I forget, American government and the Constitution and some historical facts in regards to that. I'm taking those classes. Then I'm going to take the series of classes regarding democracy. And then I'm going to take a class where they talk about the religious aspect of the United States and how it's affecting our Constitution and what is going on here today. So yeah, I'm taking those classes. I will put links to those classes down in the description box if you are interested. However, I'm paying for this set of classes that I'm taking now because I'm choosing to take those classes as a certificate course. When you take the classes as a certificate course, you are able to put that information onto your resume, right? So I think it is $145 to take this certificate course, but you can take the free course, which is their audit course. When you register, you'll get the chance to choose certificate or audit. If you choose audit, you get to take the course with no certificate towards the end. I believe that's how it goes. So yeah, take advantage of these courses. Not only does Harvard have these free classes, MIT has these classes, Stanford has these classes. A lot of the elite universities are providing classes such as these. I don't know if they all have the classes relating to government, but yeah, look into MIT, Stanford, and there are others. So take advantage of it, especially if you can put this information on your resume. It definitely will benefit you. That's all I got, y'all. That is the rundown on Donald Trump's corruption, the corruption of his administration, what is happening. And if you guys want to discuss it further, head on down to the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on all of this. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.